What's going on, everyone? It's me, Martin, the lead designer, back with yet another video. Apologies for not releasing a video in a long time. I actually had COVID-19. That's right, I went on a trip to Germany, came back, and a couple of days later I came home and just lost my breath. Started turning blue and white and violet like somebody that's having a heart attack. And since then I couldn't breathe, I could barely walk to the bathroom even. I ended up going to the emergency room like 4 times. The doctors didn't know what's going on because all the PCR tests were negative and it was just horrible. It took me over a month and a half to get better and I still don't feel 100%. And since I'm the only English speaking member of our team, we couldn't record any videos while I was ill. But anyway, enough about me. We have a lot to cover in this vlog and I'll try to compress everything into a 10-minute video. So let's jump right into it. Timestamps are in the description box below, as well as a link to our Discord server and our Patreon if you want to support the project. So first things first, let me update you guys on the office real quick. Alex found a broken water pipe under the old floor and had to fix that before we installed the new floor, otherwise the new floor would get damaged and there wouldn't be any point in the whole thing. He did that, installed the new floor, and the office is now done. Alex also had COVID-19 in the beginning of the year, by the way, right when we started fixing up the office. He also spent around 2 months in bed with it. It's a really horrible disease. Let's move on to the Steam page. As you know, I was getting ready to fly out to Spain. There's my tickets, just in case someone accuses me of terminological inexactitude. That's an interesting expression. Google it, you'll learn a little bit about the British Parliament. But I ended up not going because of the whole COVID-19 thing. The airline was very nice and gave me credits to rebook the flight at a later date, which will probably be sometime in September. Probably towards the end of the month once all the kids go back to school and there aren't as many people at the airports. I actually tried to get all of this done through the Spanish embassy in the spring because travel was still restricted. I emailed them and they were like, yeah, no problem. They gave me an appointment, and so I drove to the capital city, Prague, literally 2 weeks after the war in Ukraine started and gas prices were through the roof. And then when I got there, they told me, yeah, we don't do that, broski. You have to go to Spain yourself. So I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. Imagine living in Alaska and they have you fly out to Washington, D.C. to the embassy like that. We did manage to get the Steam plugin working with the game, which is a huge achievement in itself because that plugin comes with very little documentation and all kinds of bugs. But we now have a real Steam test server, so let me go ahead and show you guys that real quick. I'll start the server here real quick, minimize that, and we'll give it a minute to start. This is a real Steam server list, by the way. This is not photoshopped or whatever those trolls want to say. So let's give that server a minute to start. I'd say that enough time has passed now, so let's go ahead and refresh the server list and we should see our server appear over here. And oh, there we go, there it is. Test server, game Taviana the Origins, map Taviana, and 0 out of 15 players. So there you go, guys, we now have a real Steam test server. And of course this works in the game also. Let's go into the server list here. Give it some time to find the servers, and there we go. There's the test server that I just created, and there's our second test server in Spain. Please do not try to connect to these servers, guys. You're not going to be able to download the game. You're not going to be able to play it. Just leave them alone for now. But there is a but to all of this because of the way Steam works. You see, the traditional way in which a client would connect to a server is using the server's IP address and port, which are both public and static, meaning everyone can see them and they never change. So what we would do to make the favorite and recent servers functionality work is we would save the server's name and IP address to a file and then just retrieve it and connect to it whenever we want to. But this traditional way opens the server up to distributed denial of service attacks, aka DDoS. Which means when a lot of computers connect to one server and they overload it and then nobody can access it. So what Steam does is it works using sessions, meaning you receive a package that contains information about the session. I'm not sure if it somehow encrypts the server IP address or sends you some kind of code to find it in some online database, but the point is that if you try and save this package and then load it, all the information is missing because it's somehow generated dynamically every time. This prevents DDoS attacks, but it also prevents our favorites and recent servers functionality from working correctly. So we're going to hide all of that for now because it's not that important, and we'll see if we can figure it out later. So let me go ahead and show you guys some of the settings that server admins will have access to. Let's go ahead and open up this little file over here. By the way, have you ever wondered what these files with the little gear are? Well, they're configuration files where you can change the settings for your applications. I always wondered that when I was a kid, and now that I've grown up, I finally found out. So let's open that up. And by the way guys, we're going to design a nice GUI for this, a nice graphical user interface, meaning you're going to be able to change all these options in something nice like a website, and you're not going to have to mess around with these configuration files. So the first thing we have here are some welcome messages. These are messages that will be displayed to every player when they first connect to the server. Next up, we have the server description. This, in my opinion, is very cool, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. After that, we have the server name, the server location, number of players, and so on and so forth. And this is where it begins to get interesting. Here we can set the time of day on the server, so I'm just going to leave that to 2 p.m. This is 24-hour time, by the way. And here we can change the type of weather we want on the server. So at the moment, it's set to random, meaning that the server is going to start with a random weather preset, and then the weather will randomly change as the game goes on. So let me change that to false. And now the server will start with whatever weather preset we select here, and it's going to maintain that preset throughout the entire game. So we can choose from clear skies, partly cloudy, cloudy, light rain, rain, thunderstorm. I'm going to leave it to thunderstorm because there's some cool stuff that I want to show you guys. And after that we have crosshairs, so our crosshair is going to be enabled on the server or not, third person camera, player chat, and so on and so forth. These are not all the options. These are just some of the options. There's going to be a bunch more options here, but this is what we have for now. So let me go ahead and save that. I'll start the server and see you guys in game. And here we are in game. I found our server, and as you can see under weather it says thunderstorm. Exactly what I set it to a while ago, whereas on our second server it still says random. And then under settings, we can see all the various settings that are enabled on each server. So let's go ahead and connect to it and see what this all looks like in game. Connecting. Are we gonna connect? Yep, it looks like we are. So the question now is, where do we spawn? Do we spawn in Mitrovic, Mosbach, or Random? Mosbach is a brand new location, by the way, and it's named after one of our patrons. But I know what you guys want me to do. You want me to press the big red button, don't you? Alright, I'll press it. And here we have one of our beautiful loading screens. By the way, all those Screenshot Wednesday pictures that we post aren't just PR. We actually use them as loading screens. So we're kind of recycling. That's the kind of mindset that you have to get into when you're running a small project like this. And by the way, while the game's loading, why not follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/TavianaOrigins so you don't miss any future Screenshot Wednesdays. Come on guys, that was a good plug. There we are, almost done. And here we are in game. As you can see, there is actually a thunderstorm. And check out these nice puddles, by the way. These come as a part of Ultra Dynamic Sky, which we talked about in one of the previous videos. I'll put a link up in the corner somewhere, so go ahead and check that out. Another thing I want to show you guys are these little raindrops we have on stuff when it rains. Pretty cool, huh? I want to give a shout out to Ben Cloward's channel on YouTube, which is where we got the idea from. If you're learning to make materials for Unreal Engine or Unity, check out his channel. The link is in the description box below. So I'm hiding inside this police station where it's nice and quiet so I can show you guys the player list. And here it is. Looks like a regular player list, right? I got my Steam avatar, got my Steam username, but we also have this panel on the left side here where server admins can actually input their own information, and they can also change the picture over here. So let me jump back into Windows and show you guys what that looks like. And so here I am back in the configuration file. Here's that server description part that we talked about before. And so let me enter a description. Let me say, hello world. Welcome to my server. And what I can do now is I can insert some emoticons or smileys. I've got some here that I made earlier. I've always wanted to say that, like on one of those cooking shows. So let me insert like a wave emoticon. And we can also put a Taviana flag emoticon. And then let me start a new line, and underneath that I can say, beware, there are pandas on the server. And let me put a warning emoticon behind that. What we can also do is we can change the text color. So let me make this text red, like so, and close that off. Again, we're going to have a nice GUI for this, so you're not going to have to mess around with this. And now for the server logo, I made a nice little logo like this. I've uploaded it to the internet, so I'm just going to copy paste the URL to it in here, like so. I'm going to change that to partly cloudy. Whoops, little typo, partly cloudy. So the weather is going to be partly cloudy now, so we don't have all that noise from the thunderstorm. So let me save that. I'll start the server and show you guys what it looks like in game. So here we are back in game. And by the way, I forgot to show you these nice grasses we've added. What do you guys think of that? Let us know in the comments below. But anyway, here's the player list again. There's my wonderful logo that I designed, and there's the server description. And I also added some extra smileys, which I forgot to do before. How could I forget to add the two most important smileys? But anyway, I think that this is a nice little feature for server admins, where they can put their server descriptions, what information they want players to know, maybe some links to their Patreons, maybe some server rules, admin names, and this can be quite long, by the way. It doesn't have to be limited to like 2 or 3 lines like I did. This is just an example. So yeah, guys, this vlog is getting quite long. It's over 10 minutes now. There were some extra things that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to leave it for later, for the next devlog, so this video doesn't get too long. If you like what we're doing here, please consider supporting us on patreon.com/TavianaTheOrigins, and I'll check you guys out next time. Adios, amigos.